10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Confirmed.
IRB tracking downrange.
As you just saw, we've had successful liftoff of RocketLab's ELaNa 19 mission. This one's for Pickering. The next major milestone we're coming up to is Max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. This is where the forces on the vehicle are at their greatest during launch. Let's stand by for the call.
Approaching maximum dynamic pressure. Max dynamic pressure.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal. Open power pack CO2 bottles.
Coming up next are a series of events that take place in quick succession. These are MECO, or main engine cutoff, followed by Stage 1 separation, Stage 2 engine ignition, and then fairing jettison. Let's listen in.
Entering burnout detect mode.
Stage 1 main engine cutoff.
Staging.
And Stage 2 propulsion is nominal.
Stage 2 is stable.
Fairing deploy.
And that completes MECO, Stage 1 separation, second stage ignition, and fairing separation. Electron's second stage is now on its way to orbit. We'll listen in for the call that Electron is orbital at approximately 9 minutes into flight.
Altitude is 150 kilometers.
Our next milestone will be battery hot swap. One of the unique features of Electron is that our Rutherford engine uses electric pumps. These pumps are powered by batteries, but once these batteries run flat, they're just dead weight. To overcome this, we perform a hot swap, where we switch from 2 depleted batteries to a third fully charged one. We then jettison the depleted batteries, and that mass savings allows a more efficient ride to orbit. Look out for the battery jettison occurring at around T+7 minutes.
3 kilometers per second. Four kilometers per second.
Coming up on hotspot. Hot swapping. Eject.
Stage 2 propulsion nominal.
We've had successful hot swap of our batteries, and Electron is performing nominally.
5 kilometers
Just to
per second.
recap, we had successful
Copy that.
ignition,
Fail-safe
stage
disable.
1 burn, and stage separation, and now we're following stage 2 as it continues to orbit. This burn will continue until around T plus 9 minutes, and then our kick stage will separate.
80 seconds remaining.
Copy after you saved.
$30 remaining.
We have about 30 seconds remaining in the stage 2 burn. Electron is following a good trajectory, and propulsion is nominal.
10 seconds.
Vehicle's orbital.
Stage 2 engine shutdown.
Shutdown. Transfer orbit appears nominal.
Staging.
That call confirms stage 2 engine shutdown and kick stage separation. The kick stage is now entering a coast phase for around 40 minutes before the Curie engine will ignite
Based
to
on
circularize its
final
orbit and deploy the
telemetry,
payloads.
we reached an apogee of
We're going to take a
4.87,
break and come back in
4
approximately
kilometers,
40 minutes for the final
209
payload
kilometers,
deployment.
inclination
In the
85.03
meantime, sit back,
degrees.
relax, and
Which
enjoy
is
watching
very
Electron's
close to a
path
normal
as it
transfer
orbits the Earth. Welcome back to the live broadcast of RocketLab's ELaNa 19 mission for NASA. Following liftoff at 7:33 p.m. local time, Electron successfully reached orbit. We're about to ignite the kick stage's Curie engine to circularize the payloads to a 500 by 500 kilometer orbit. After the burn is complete, the payloads will be deployed in a pre-programmed sequence.
We have stage 3 engine ignition.
The kick stage is a unique final stage of the launch vehicle and provides Electron the capability to precisely inject customer payloads into their final designated orbit, as this graphic explains. Stage 2 takes the kick stage to an elliptical parking orbit. Then the kick stage separates. We leave the second stage in an elliptical orbit with a low perigee, or the lowest point in the orbit. At each perigee, it dips lower and lower into the Earth's atmosphere, finally burning up on re-entry. This means we're not leaving large second stages on orbit for years to create space debris, an important point for us here at RocketLab. After a coast phase, the kick stage's Curie engine ignites and circularizes the orbit. Once the kick stage has deployed all payloads, the Curie engine has the ability to reignite and perform a deorbit maneuver, enabling it to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and burn up, leaving nothing in orbit but the satellite payloads.
And stage 3 engine shutdown.
And we've reached the end of the kick stage burn. Payload deploy will follow shortly. Now we're coming up on payload deploy. This animation simulates the payload deployment sequence, which will see multiple CubeSats deploy from the payload plate. All payloads are attached to RocketLab's payload plate, which you see here. The positioning of the CubeSats is kind of like a giant game of Tetris, where we need to keep the plate balanced, but also ensure each satellite has a clear path for deployment. It's also important to calculate the best order and timing to release the CubeSats. We can't just deploy all of them at once, as we need to provide enough spacing between each satellite in the orbit. Let's watch the rest of the simulated deployment. And there you have it. The payload deploy sequence has finished and the mission is complete.